All right, so let's go over Module 2, Git Basics. In this module, we are going to go over a few of the core commands of Git. The commands are init, clone, status, add, commit, log, push, and pull. Basically, you need to have all of these commands memorized. There's no way around it. You'll be using these commands all the time, and the more familiar you are with these core commands, the easier it is for you to use Git. In the next module, we'll learn about more advanced commands such as branching and merging. Those commands you may have to look up help every once in a while, but these commands should be burned into your memory. So let's go ahead and demo what these commands do in a real-world environment. All right, so let's go ahead and do some demos here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over git clone, add, commit, log, push, and pull. So the one command that we left out is git init. And git init just allows you to create a new repository. That's pretty much it. It's pretty boring, not much to it. So let's go ahead and go right into clone, because clone is probably what you're going to be using the most of. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone my demo repo over here that I created. If you want to follow along, you'll have to create your own demo repo, and then you can follow along with the commands if you wish, but you won't be able to push to my repo. So if you try to do these commands, if you try to follow along with these commands as I'm doing them, they're going to fail because you don't have permissions to my repository. So git clone git at github.com Shane P demo. So let's talk about what we're doing here. So clone obviously allows me to get a clone, right? A duplicate, a copy of the demo repo. And this right here is the URL, right? I'm using the SSH protocol to clone my repo because I have that all set up as to use SSH keys, which you can do in chapter 4. It'll walk you through this. Git is the username that GitHub uses. GitHub.com, obviously. Shane P is my username, and then demo is the repo. Oops, looks like I already have it. Looks like I've already have a demo exist, and it's not empty directory. Let's go ahead and just remove that. I must have forgot to remove that from the last video. So we removed recursive force demo. So now we should be able to go ahead and clone it down. Okay, so it looks like everything worked. So if we go cd demo and we go ls, we can see we have two files here, license and readme. So let's go ahead and cat out the readme. And you can see that the readme is the same as the readme in GitHub. Now, let's make it look non-rendered. So if we go click on the README and then we hit raw, you can see that it is the same content, right? It is, here's hashtag CS155 demo repo. Okay, same thing, right? So let's go ahead and go back. This right here is just the rendered. So GitHub actually will render the markdown is what this is called so that it looks fancy. But all it is just plain text. So let's go ahead and go over all these commands. So by definition, right, we just went over clones. So let's go ahead and update that. So VM readme. And we're going to go up here. We're going to say done. Okay. Now, we just made a change to the file. And you can notice that if I do a git status, our git status tells us what we have with our repo. So I'm on branch main. Okay. It's up to date with origin main. Okay. Changes not staged for commit. So I have modified the README file, which you just saw me do, but I have not staged it. And you can see here where Git actually gives you some hints. It says use git add file to update what will be committed. So let's go ahead and do that. Git add readme. Okay. And you notice that the prompt changed and the git status now changed. Okay. Changes to be committed. Okay. Modified readme. Now I don't want to restore it at this point because I actually want to keep these. So I need to commit them now. So I use the commit command. Git commit Minus M stands for message, because you always want to have a commit message. You never want to just do this. That gives you a blank commit message. And in fact, some workplaces will actually reject commits that have no text. So I'm going to say updated README file for module 2. Okay. Now if I do get status, you can see that my message changed again. It says your branches of your head of origin main by 1 commit, which makes sense because we just did it. So it says use git push. This is nice. So again, git gives me kind of hints of what I need to do. Git push. Well, first of all, if we go over here, let's go over here before we do that. You can see if I hit refresh, my file on GitHub is not changed yet. So let's do git push. And you can see that things seem to work. Clear. Get status, and my message changed again on branch main. Your branch is up to date with origin main. Nothing to commit. Working tree clean. All right, that's awesome. Now if I go over here and I hit refresh, you can see the change that I did just popped up. So now I have completed and pushed something to GitHub. Now, during this course, you can see that just making one small modification to the file, we've gone over clone, add, commit, and push. So let's hit git log right now. So I go over here and I hit git log. You can see it gives me all of the logs it gives me all the commits that I've done. So here's the updated README file for module 2. That's the one I just did. Oh, there's a commit I did earlier today, set up for video. Demo git pull and git with GitHub GUI, updated more stuff on the README. So it gives me all of the logs of this repo. I can confirm this by going over to the repo and hitting my commits. Sorry, right there. You can see I have 7 commits, right? So this is the log in GitHub view, right? So GitHub just gives you a web view of the log. Okay, so clone, add, commit, log, push. Oh, have not done pull. So let's go ahead and demo pull. So I can go and I can edit this file in the GitHub editor. So I'm on GitHub and they have their own built-in editor. So now I can say done. All right, we did add, done, 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 and this will be done as soon as I hit demo pull. Okay, commit changes. Okay, now you're going to see where I have my, if I go get status, you're going to notice that my get status doesn't actually pick up those changes. Right, branch main, that's by design. I actually have to tell, when I'm on my local machine, I have to tell Git to go and check for changes, and that's with git pull. So you can see where I have one file change, 5 insertions. Okay, now if I do clear and I do git status, okay, looks good. Now if I do cat readme, you could say that I now have all of the changes that we did and the file now matches. So that's pretty cool. So this is basically how you are, well, what you're going to do. These are the core commands that you need to, have memorized, and the ordering and, how these core commands work. And it's best to learn these commands in a solo environment until you kind of get your, get them burned into your memory, get them memorized before you start working in a team environment. Because what happens when you start working in a team environment is all of these commands just end up being a little bit more complex. And that's okay, because what's even more complex is trying to do software development without version control. That is complexity that's software development on hard mode. And software development is already hard enough. So we want to leverage our tools to make it as easy as possible. So there we go. So now we have a demo repo, right? If we go here, here's my repo. This is my demo repo. Okay. Okay, we can actually do ls minus a, right? We can peek into the hitting repository, the .git, c.git, right? And here's all of the, we never want to mess with any of the files in here. These are all, consider all these off limits, because if you corrupt them, your whole Git repository could be corrupted. But we can't poke around and look at them, right? So if we cat config, you can see that this is the config for this repo, and you can see here's the URL, right? git@github.com, shamped demo, remote origin. This is, and don't worry, you're going to read about this in the books. You don't have to, don't worry too much about the internals. This is most of the time you're not going to have to dive into the .git. So we go back to the regular repo. There we are. And that's it for the demo. So this is what module 2 is over. Just getting really, really good at these commands. In module 3, you will start to branch and merge and learn a lot about how all that works. So again, I hope you have a great time, and hope you learn a lot, and look forward to seeing you online.